Welcome back to the Lars Larson Show. As you know, the president has signed an executive order to provide a bit of relief at the front end of this whole process because there have been so many people in the mainstream media and politicians running around like their hair's on fire saying, look at this new policy Donald Trump adopted. Forgetting, of course, the fact that it was going on the whole time during the Obama administration as well. They just didn't object to it then because it wasn't as good a campaign issue back then. Well, now that executive order rests in the court of a federal judge who was appointed by President Obama. And Christopher Hajec is director of litigation for the Immigration Reform Law Institute. Christopher, can you sort this out for us and tell us where this is all going?
Well, I'm not sure where it's all going. I think I know where it should go. I mean, the big villain here is the Flores decree, which is what is going to be decided by this judge. I mean, it's been around for decades, and it's basically judicially mandated catch and release for minors who are caught trying to cross the border. And that just encourages more of them to come, more of them die in the desert, more are raped, and a lot of them getting through aren't really minors. They just claim to be. A lot of them are in MS-13. And the U.S. government has to just complete the job of the human smugglers and find families for them, often their nearest illegal alien relatives.
Christopher, you and I follow this closely. I want my audience to really understand what it means by catch and release. Correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody comes here, they want to enter the United States. They bring a child, maybe it's theirs, maybe not, doesn't matter. It's a get-out-of-jail-free card. You cross the border, and you are taken into custody. The child is put into detention that can't last more than about 3 weeks. I think it's 20 days. You're locked up. You're perhaps, or you're given a court date, and they effectively say, because you had a child with you and we can't hold the child for very long, we're going to turn you loose, and here's a piece of paper, show up in court 6 months or a year from now, and most of them do not show up in court. Is that the size of it?
Right, and that's the way it works for family units to come together. That's the way it did work until Trump ended catch and release and is now detaining the adults. But he still has to do catch and release for the minors, whether they're unaccompanied or whether they're with a family unit. So what he wants to do is change the decree to say family units can be detained together in humane conditions, and then while their case is being adjudicated, and then deported as a family. And but this Flores decree is something that blocks him from doing that. So if he can't get it changed, then Republicans in Congress should be able to get it changed.
Now, Christopher, just so people understand, there are about 2,300 kids in this most recent wave that came with an adult, whether they're parent or not. There were about 10,000 kids who came unaccompanied, and I'm guessing that most of them, for practical reasons, are not like the little girl pictured on the front of Time magazine. They're not 3 or 4 years old. They are perhaps in their teens, maybe even their late teens. Some of them may be very close to being adults, and this decree means that after 20 days, they get into the country and they get turned loose. They're supposed to show up for court to decide whether or not they should be deported. But this is a really good way for a 16 or 17-year-old to just walk into our country, spend a few weeks eating good food in a detention center, and then they're free to go. And they can go out and essentially become de facto legitimate residents of the United States, right?
Yes. And some of them are 27. I mean, they say they're 16. And they get released, they get treated the same. And it's a great pipeline for gangs to come up here. And as I said, the process itself is extremely dangerous. The human smugglers, often leave kids for dead in the desert, hoping someone will find them, or not even hoping, just leaving them there. And they rape the minors that they're smuggling. It's a really huge humanitarian crisis, and Trump's trying to solve it. The only way to solve it is to cut down that flow. The Flores decree means the pipeline just keeps going, and it just increases and increases.
Well, Christopher, I keep telling my audience that the old adage that the best way to get rid of a bad law, if you think it's a bad law, is to strictly enforce it. If all the Democrats think this is a bad law, then by all means propose a change. they haven't really done that. Donald Trump has said, as long as the law is on the books, I'm going to faithfully execute the way his oath says, and he's enforcing the law. And then they're screaming bloody murder, saying, well, you can't do this to these kids. And of course, the poster child, the little teeny child, 3, 4 years old, is a very sympathetic figure. I think it'd be a lot less sympathetic if they were showing the 27-year-old who's pretending to be 17, who just wants to come into the country to get a bigger paycheck and doesn't really have any kind of a legitimate asylum claim at all, and might be, as you say, coming up to join a gang. What's the likelihood that this judge appointed by Barack Obama is going to make any change at all to the Flores decree?
Well, I don't think it's a high likelihood. There's some argument for changed circumstances. I mean, the number of unaccompanied minors and family units apprehended is, over this time last year, has gone up over 400% and over 300%, respectively. So there's been this huge surge, and he can claim that it's no longer equitable to enforce it so that he can't detain family units together. But whether the judge is going to agree to that, I think is unlikely. So it'll just mean that he'll have to go to Congress to abolish the Flores agreement or modify it. And he's not going to get any Democratic support because what they want is catch and release back for everybody. But the Republicans could do it themselves if they went nuclear. And if it was just a standalone bill, I don't know which one of them would vote against it.
I don't know about you, Chris. I'm talking to Christopher Hajec, who's the director of litigation for the Immigration Reform Law Institute, but you mentioned going nuclear. Get rid of the filibuster. As far as I'm concerned, I think the filibuster is spitting in the face of me as a voter, saying, yes, you elected 50 or 51 U.S. senators, but no, you can't have the win in the Senate because the Senate itself wrote some rules to prevent it so that they could run around and not make decisions, which is what they turned out to be really good at, not making decisions. I'd blow up the filibuster tomorrow. And if they did that, shouldn't we just do that and then say, if you don't want to do that, the president kind of sent a message. We've got about a minute left. President sent a little internal message within that memo in the title of the executive order, didn't he?
Well, you tell me.
I thought the title said something, it's providing time for the Congress to act on immigration changes. It was,
yes, indeed.
Or words to that effect, yeah.
Yes, and that's what has to happen, and the Republicans can do it. I totally agree with you about the filibuster. When things are as polarized as they are now, the parties are nothing can be done with that's filibuster proof. And so, yeah, they have to go nuclear and have a majority vote. And if some Republican wants to vote against housing families together, let him stand up and explain why.
Yeah, try that and then try it on the voters at election time. Christopher, thanks for the time on a Friday night. We appreciate what you do at the Immigration Reform Law Institute.